and welcome to Write Volumes Behind the Volume Presents Shades of Craft video series. My name is Janaea. I am one of the editors and founders of Write Volumes. Our goal is to give diverse voices an outlet for expression and to bring attention to diverse writers and their thoughts. We are releasing monthly author interviews, some over video, others written, featuring our wonderful writers to help people like you get to know them better. We also launched a one-question video series where we ask a panel of writers one question, ranging from the role of writers in society to how readers perceive stories, then see how it affects them, their writing, and readers. And now this craft series to help us delve into writing. In these discussions, we will focus on one area of the writing craft, take a deeper dive on what it is, and highlight some stories. This is the third of a special three-part Halloween series on horror writing. In this episode, we will cover horror incidents and endings. And in case you missed it, the first episode was Horror Stories Basic Framework. The second covered setting the horror tone and mood. And for those who have written horror before, or for those who would like to try it, here are some quick tips. To recap from the horror framework episode, the horror story should show incidents of terrors for your main character. Then the incidents can build off of each other. The main character's decisions led them here and then got them out too, with each situation growing in stakes, becoming worse than the last. It is important that during these incidents of terror you create for your main character, there is a sense of dashed hope. This means there should be a sense or an element of hope that the people could survive or it could work out well, with foreshadowing that it is unlikely that they will. This can be done by having the main character have some minor successes or by describing the main character's goal and how near they are to it. Stakes should be obvious and can be extreme. The main character can almost reach out and touch and attain their goal. The distance they are from success is proportional to the adrenaline rush for the reader. So the closer the main character is to reaching their goal or somewhere safe, the larger the emotional impact is, whether they do or don't. Readers identify with the struggle. And when the hope is believable, it will leave the audience wondering what will happen, and that tension can really capture and keep the reader engaged in turning the page. The hopes can be dashed through some bad decision made by the main character. But be careful when making that main character make a bad decision. They can make wrong moves, but the moves should be believable. It's important to create enough motivation for the character so their bad decision feels justifiable and not merely stupid, or the reader will find the action unbelievable. If the character can convince themselves they're making the correct moves against the threat, then hopefully the reader can believe too. Perhaps the main character does not have all of the facts, or they're making a bad decision due to one of their flaws. Now, there are multiple ways to craft the end of a horror story. They can be basically distilled to three options. One, the hero defeats the monster, villain, or problem, and this works well for longer stories. Two, the monster or villain problem defeats the hero, and this can work well for short stories. Or three, the hero defeats the monster or villain or problem, but what, you ask? There can be a twist or just some unexpected result from the win that hadn't been considered since everyone was so focused on winning, they hadn't thought beyond that point. But whatever the twist is, it needs to be believable and woven into the story. This makes the story memorable. So if you're unsure of how to conclude the story, try all three types of endings and then decide which you prefer. Writing multiple endings can be great practice in viewing how a story could shift and resonate with the readers in multiple ways. Afterwards, the best ending may be obvious, or perhaps all three could work and you now have three variations. A good example in Shades of Horror and Strangeness anthology is Lucky by C.A. Davis. The ordinary situation turned scary is, will Yasmin survive riding the train? Yasmin split from the group as the others headed further towards Worth Street. If I'm lucky, she thought, as she rushed along the crowded sidewalks of New York, I'll be at the courtroom in just under an hour before the judge even notices. CA does a wonderful job of relaying the stakes for Yasmin throughout the story, and each incident of terror continually increases in horror and danger. The tension builds, and I was completely engaged throughout the story, with the end that startled me, yet felt strangely fitting, as it highlighted one side of humanity's primal urges and revealed humanity's view of the grass is greener on the other side in a very horrific way. Another story is Genesis by Evan Cullen. The ordinary situation turns scary as Kyla is taking a walk. She walked down the street, hands in her jacket pockets, humming an improvisational tune while the wind greeted her black walnut hair. Kyla had walked down the street for as many nights as she had free time with her graduate school courses. In this story, Evan takes the ordinary night walk and transports the reader into an adrenaline-filled roller coaster ride, with every incident accelerating until you reach the end. And then you're left shaken, breathless, wondering, and wanting more, yet relieved that the ride is over for now. Well, this is the end of the horror writing craft talks, for now at least. Or maybe this is only the beginning, helping to guide you on your horror journey. So find an everyday activity, choose a fair, and then let your imagination creep into the dark side. Shadow your ominous, unleash your shades. But I'm afraid that is all the time we have. If you have any favorite horror tips, or if you try any of these tips or others, please leave a comment. We would love to hear from you and how it went. Maybe your story can be in the next Write Volumes horror anthology. And don't forget to check out the other Halloween horror writing tips. Thank you for listening. This is Behind the Volume, a look at Write Volumes in the making, Shades of Craft. Please check out our website at writevolumes.com for our latest info. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you have any questions you're curious about and think could be good for our Shades of Craft series, please direct message me at Write Volumes on Twitter, Facebook, or email us at writevolumes@gmail.com. And perhaps your question will be chosen for our next topic. Thanks again, everyone. And remember, together, we can write volumes. Happy Halloween. May it be spectacular.